Chris, everybody we're expecting. We're recording, Rob? Excellent, thank you. I will start by saying we appreciate everybody being here. Rob, we appreciate your expertise in setting up the broadcast of our meeting, compliance with the new state directive. We recognize that this may not be the permanent solution, but with like a couple days notice, we've accomplished the directive of the state legislature. So thank you for your efforts in getting that set up. My understanding is that it will be retained and in some form or fashion available on the website as soon as we technologically are able to accomplish that in compliance with state. So we appreciate your efforts, Rob. So we have a quorum present and we have an agenda in front of us, and I would point the board to the minutes that have been previously distributed by the staff. Are there any comments or questions or suggestions on the minutes? We approve. Thank you. We have a second. Chris, thank you. All in favor of approving the minutes or accepting the minutes, probably their turn, from April 23rd, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Going to not cover too much other than to make the board aware that this is probably most likely the last time we'll have the current executive director here for her leave. We wish you well on that. And Rob will be able to filling in the time. So you'll let us know, sir.
Yep,
yes. Okay, very good. We wish you best of luck. Very good today. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Jess for her executive director's report.
Feel free to, as always, feel free to stop in the middle of the questions, anything. So our CDBG rehabilitation project update. As the board is aware, we closed on both 59 Suite first two projects with the help of John Farrell and John Bernardo, etc. And we should have received a draft of the MLS listing for 224 Marion Street. And hoping to list that for sales and kind of see if you have any questions or comments or anything like that. It's our way. And Clearview Dormwood did an excellent job on the third project. The post-construction radon test came back within acceptable levels. The clearance is handled by the health department. That also passed on voters. John at Clearview Dormwood. With all outstanding invoices paid, there is approximately, or it is $22,400.50 remaining in the grant. According to OCR, they wanted us to allow us the county to pull that as a program administration fee. So it would bring the total amount drawn from the grant to that funding back. So I've submitted the final disbursement request to OCR. That'll be drawn, the remaining will be drawn down with administrative fee that will likely be retained by the county. Most likely used to offset their in-kind contribution for the executive director salary. Is likely how it will play out. I've made the planning department aware that funding will be coming in the model transfer and figure out where that'll go the next account function. I've also submitted the landing's final reimbursement request and planning to get that last amount in. That's what I've done.
Great job on those projects. They look great.
Now they can't go into the general fund.
Not without some other counting functions taking place. It's really an administrative fee that the county is really the grant recipient or a sub-recipient. Theoretically, with the right discussions, it could.
And that's a way of building something.
Yeah. We'll be having those conversations.
Yeah, kind of figure out. I mean, it's kind of a like it wasn't something that we were expected to even have. So it's kind of like, okay, well, now what do we do? So it's not even good, man. It's kind of a tough deal. So Jane and only this is like where does it go?
She lost way out.
Yeah.
Question we'll have to
Oh, yeah.
question. We talked about this very same thing like 2 days ago.
So I wanted to make the board aware that Rob and I did request an extension for the grant through October, the end of October. Just in case, worst case scenario, I don't think this is gonna happen, but worst case scenario, the, the closing on the third project takes a long time, or, whatever happens, I mean, the entire amount of the grant will be drawn down, so from a financial perspective, that'll all be done. Within a few days here, but the last thing really that'll need to be done is, the selection of a buyer and, closing of the property, and then, Rob will need to complete in conjunction with the help of Paul Nelson, the Landing's final annual performance reviews that took OCR, and then gonna be closed out.
Sort of to Mike's point, question two about the sort of remaining 20,000, the sale proceeds from the houses are being retained by the land bank, right, in order to continue doing similar projects, right? So there is really the larger portion of the funds that will continue to help the land bank's operations projects, I guess.
Our city ARPA and Land Bank Initiative Phase 2 rehabilitation project update. Land Bank has 7 properties included in the city's ARPA program and rehabilitation projects. The rehab at 34 Andrews Avenue is continuing. The market construction has completed building permit in Binghamton, we've issued 1 construction draw thus far. We plan to take site visits there tomorrow morning to see the progress. Our construction manager on the project, Sheila Neville, doing a phenomenal job, and want to thank the board once again for the support of both of our third-party construction management platforms. Sheila Neville, like, great work and really a service that Rob and I value a lot. He hasn't really been bored. With like things like that, but I certainly don't. Just having somebody that really knows all that works on it.
Someone to be to go into the architects and
The contractors, yeah, just kind of understanding that entire world is really helpful. She was doing absolutely. As board is aware, she's worked with Jerry Willer at she does work for Arbor College, Shimon County Land Bank and one others. So she does all of it. With the 6 Sheila and Eastern Associates, we went out to bid on renovations for 52 Beethoven Street. Bids were due on May 9th, and after receiving 4 bids, peer review door window was the lowest qualified bid, and there's a resolution before the board today for consideration. LCP group should be completed any day now, and they were slated to complete their asbestos abatement work on the remaining ARPA property in our inventory today. I just want to make the board aware, they did during the abatement of 33 Elm Street, when they were removing wall panel mastic, they found quite a bit of black mold. So, instead of letting that go the entire summer and having, ultimately letting it get worse, and then ultimately having PCs to take care of it. Once we award project, I authorized an internal change order for the additional work that will remove all of that and stabilize the roof, because there is a little bit of minor leaking. That did total $7,500 is within the board's authorized. As board's aware, and after receiving bids on April 2nd for asbestos abatement at our city properties, we recommended that 61 Park Avenue from our ARPA rehab program to our admission program, and that's the board's at our last board meeting. The board did authorize 61 Park Avenue to be demolished with a caveat that Rob might issue in our development. Those proposals are due this Friday. We have not received interest so far. And we did include 61 Park Ave as an alternate in our current round of demolition projects, just so that we get a number and award it if we don't receive interest. So if we don't receive any proposals Friday afternoon, we will see structural foundation through Delta Engineers, who did all of the development work, and issue an addendum in the bid package for. As it relates to 21 Walnut Street, we drafted an RFP similar to 3 King Avenue that we did a few years ago. My thought would be to include 75 to potentially $100,000 in city ARPA funding and develop subsidies very similar to what we did for Duquesne Avenue, with the requirement that at least one of the two units be rented to low to moderate income individuals, families, with that. And, you know, up to Rob and the board and student when he goes to issue that. I wouldn't say there's necessarily like a time crunch on it, and it would be ARPA funding, and then that takes us all the way to 2026, but, you know, issuing it to the right.
Couldn't have any update on the other project I came in with Bob Chan. Has that been successful? It's sort of the baby project for us of that kind of structure. Is that going okay?
We recently met with Bob Chan, who did King Avenue. We asked him how's everything going, and he said it's going really well. We're happy. He's happy with the projects he's doing, including King. And he said he would also be interested in fun.
We believe that it's maintaining compliance on the lower boundary. I remember at one point he actually was doing that with both people, right?
Yeah, he's that's
Yep.
We have since met with L2 Studio Architecture and Delta Engineers regarding bid packages for the next few ARPA projects. We met with L2 Studio at 8 Gray Street today, and we met with Delta Engineers at 174 Waller Street. We kind of get eyes on projects, get them thinking about what the scopes are going to be. I'd really like to bid 33 Elm Street and 8 Gray Street sometime this summer, maybe not back to back or along with one another, but one and then next. I've all faith in the world that Rob, working with our architectural firms and our CMs, will be able to do two projects bid for it over a few months. But that would be it. So, Rob, you want to take on the demo projects?
Yep, as always, the demolition projects right now, the fires have properties that the city with demolition, all the time. Cypress Street and then hospitals. Total would be 7 properties with each structure is Cypress. Just mentioned we have on demolition. Those didn't get a good action of that. Actually, we're just one bit. We have a pretty good site with the Cypress. They did it for we're going to 5 to 7 contractors into the neighborhood today. The bids you grab and do that, most likely to. Just a friendly reminder, we would like to help with that funds. Yes, so see the those condition funds and then we'll go back. Yeah, now stay down.
Our HDR naming initiative operating fund. We're continuing to track our expenses for year 2, which comes to a close in late August. Right now we have a deferral of about $80,000 in expenses remaining for the current year. Approximately, just so the board, approximately half of that will is earmarked for the associate director's salary branch, and the remainder for its regular operating expenses. The expenses that we've had this year is particularly past 12 months through this grant, particularly related to like property maintenance, like overall lawn care, snow removal, utilities, security, stuff like that. Much I'd say probably much higher than years past, because our inventory has been referred for. We've ever in our utilities. So really a good thing. Really good thing. We've done a lot of work in the past month. So very proud of that. But I don't anticipate that to be the same next year. We do anticipate a renewal for landing initiative phase 1 year 3 taking place either August or September board meeting. And that would be reflected in an amendment to the agreement with HCR for an additional $200,000 in operating funds for you. We issued an RFQ for real estate services, which proposals were due or qualifications were due May 3rd. I'm happy to report that we did receive 5 submissions, and there is a resolution before the board today to contract to exit realty home bound for 1 year, with 2 1-year renewals. We can talk about that. Our HDR and Big Initiative Phase 2 capital dollars. We're moving quickly through the deliverables, you know, some challenges that have come up. We, you know, kind of, you know, diverted in different ways, asked Crystal at OCR if we can use funding this way or that way, and she's been really great, in helping the site for being agreeable to those different types of approaches. So Board Construction has completely demolished the former Red Carpet Inn. It is gone. It's
Great.
wonderful. Tomorrow they will actually start, they're doing final air sampling today, and then tomorrow they will start to fill in the voids where the motels once stood, with acceptable fill, and then we'll place pressure run where the motel once stood. We're not topsoil oiling and seeding the site as we want it to be developed. Point and don't particularly want to maintain it. Put it that way.
Low and maintain, we keep them up.
Yes. Yep. My understanding is they anticipate being completed by the end of the week. Al Lord expressed to us, he wants this project really, really bad and wants to get done, wants to move on. So we're happy with that. Before the board today is also a no-cost agreement with Broome Community Charities to utilize the motel lot for staff and volunteers and sporting events open. Copy of the draft agreement was included in the board package, which is kind of what the agreement entails. With the asbestos abatement, our upper properties, very closely wrapped up, and the motel demolition essentially completed. I would love to issue a reimbursement request to OCR before my leave. I anticipate that disbursement being somewhere between 250 to. Crystal would be happy with, but if that doesn't happen, it'll be prepared and to do. Rob, do you want to hit our small business to do it program?
At the last board meeting, the board approved, several project program that we did develop in our city. We're still waiting to close the property, then close the development spot. So, once we see word that they all tied with the property and you're ready to go further, we plan to finalize the terms of the paperwork with the help of those. I said we already done the witness. We're very familiar with the process. So we're usually hoping to get the word out of program this year. Welcome to the assistance for starting the board members of the first meeting. Other than a reminder, there are projects that $15,000 each ticket fees. We saw this as a
Our administrative items, just want to make the board aware, as it relates to the tax foreclosure process. There were some changes that were made in the adopted New York State budget, which extends certain timelines that normally be very relative. I don't want to take a stop. I'm just going to say, we, in talking to Wendy, don't anticipate having the next foreclosure list, which would be the city list, until February 2025, due to the notification. I will say that Aaron, Rob, and I have been brainstorming ways that we can gain access to properties, both for rehab and demos. Recent news, so that's through it. A little bit. Hopefully
I would just point out that that does, I mean, the likely was like, this does present a challenge for us. We traditionally obtained our properties, the rehab income from the county tax foreclosure list. The changes impact that, not only like the most recent changes, the way the state legislature is implementing Supreme Court decision, but the mere fact that the way properties, excess proceeds from sale of properties are handled also impacts us. So there's some challenges here we can sort through. Where we would see that most under the current set of scenario scenarios is demolition properties and rehab properties within the city ARPA grant, because that's a grant we have now with deliverables associated with it. Does this present problems in other places? Yes, it does, but grant wise, we have demo funds and city rehab funds that need properties.
Yeah.
So that's the one.
By the end of December 2026.
And that's a very short time frame to get properties in rehab them.
Right, we had anticipated June 25th being a final date pay for the city things.
Yeah.
However, we sent that final redemption mailing prior to the governor signing the budget under the county attorney's direction that we could still send the mailing out. But we only gave 11 days instead of the now 180, which is the second time we've done this mailing. Because we had sent the mailing last year, just prior to going into some more time. So at this point, after consulting county attorney, instead of offering an additional 90 days from the final date, her opinion is that the mailing has to be done completely over with all the publications and affidavits again. So we anticipate having done all together the third time by July. And so then 108 days from there, now you're looking at January of 25. The downside to that is if they haven't paid their 21 taxes yet, you have 4 years of tax going on top.
When you get too much, there is all the administrative costs, but multiple mailings. There's staff time, post. Then we need to pay to the counties, whatever, before access proceeds.
It
All
can,
these still cost.
so we have to determine what those costs are, you know, basically per parcel.
Again, I would just say, none of this is being driven by the county leadership, by real property, by the law department. It's all sort of being handed to them. So it's not a lack of support from the land bank from any of the department. It's just the logistics of what the state legislature has passed and what the Supreme Court has decided. Again, I point out that this will absolutely impact the availability of properties for the city ARPA program and for in the county demolition program.
So our intention was in July to send out the final redemption notice for properties that owe the 22 tax. And only put on last year. But now we have to cycle back around the city again. That puts us now behind on finishing the county. So that will put the county out a couple more months, which means like March or April 2025. And at that point, again, those properties owe at least 3%.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
So
I'm confident. I'm always confident.
Good news is demolition wise, right, there's always things to demolish. We're always gonna have opportunities there, whether we take up sort of a hiatus while this process goes on. The other thing I would point out is we do currently have 7 properties under city ARPA. So it's not like we don't have anything going.
We have projects to do.
The projects are going. It's just the availability of additional 3 to 5 properties that we need to obtain at some point.
I think we can work through those. I think we can work through those kind of the greater ways that we can accomplish the goal of the program through various different needs, just relatively, very relatively different like that. So as kind of as part of that, just want to make the board aware, there are several funding opportunities that are available for not exclusively for land banks, but they have access to them in this year's budget, including capital and operation dollars exclusive to land banks, but HCR has a home program that could support new build, could support substantial rehab. There's caps on the funding per unit on those, and on that program before. But it's, you know, an option. I want to make the board aware there was a very interesting request for applications that came out from HDR through the Land Bank Initiative program. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was designed by HDR for a maximum of 3 land banks to undertake some type of pilot program to utilize their existing vacant lots in place, I think upwards of maybe 3 or 4 what's called cross mods. That was defined as a manufactured home that looks like a stick built. So, like, you know, and basically the RFA was for, you know, a land bank, or there's all the respective land banks that everyone has to apply, to, you know, agree to HDR to, you know, take this funding, and, you know, work with a vendor selected by HDR to place. So taking into consideration the fact that it was a pilot program, I've happened that before. Very, very new. I mean, we're vaguely familiar with manufactured homes, vaguely familiar with stick builds, vaguely familiar with that, those kinds of things. Paul Nelson has quite a bit of experience with manufactured homes, things like that, but the cross mods, very new, and then also considering the very, very short timeline to apply. Decided not to, also because we would have had to identify a handful of lots as well.
Well, you're also gonna face deadlines probably when you're out, right? Rob's gonna face deadlines of other applications that we absolutely have to see. We really don't wanna sacrifice the quality of those applications in favor of them. So now we don't appreciate the opportunity to do, but probably not enough at time, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, and I, you know, don't necessarily want to say, like, you know, but, you know, let another and then go for it before we do, but it seemed as if it was like, this is kind of similar to Legacy City Access a few years ago when HCR created that program. It seemed as if it was very geared toward a specific type of bank, and that's kind of what this art thing looks like. It's geared toward a land bank who has 6 vacant lots around. All right, place 6 of these properties around. So it seemed very a little too limited for our, just like,
When you're talking about manufactured homes, you're talking about trailers, or you're talking about modular, or both. I mean, they're entirely different.
modulars that look like stick builds.
Modulars can look like anything, right? It's a question of what code they're built by, whether it's both of them. You don't. When you say manufactured homes, that could be including trailers.
In the rural areas, maybe HCR on the maybe in the rural area program. The other thing I would also mention is, you know, our land bank has not stepped foot into new builds yet. And it would want to be something that we want to really, really, really think about, especially as it relates to questions. Because that program was also geared toward low demand ownership. So if we're looking at a new build that costs X amount of dollars. You know, an assessor has a job to do. And I think that would be a little challenging.
Priced out manufacturer, as far as, they wanted us to look at this, right? In another case, this is not cheap like the.
No, it's not, it's basically right on par with a right on par or a little bit more depending on, you know, the municipality regulations. So with that being said, I do anticipate another round of land-based initiative capital dollars to be issued sometime soon. I did confirm that with Crystal at OCR that this kind of, pilot program for some land banks, I confirmed with her that that's not the next RFA available. She said, nope, this is different than what we. So that's what, we should have. Our next land bank association meeting is this Thursday. I do anticipate some community discussion about the tax enclosure process, how, what challenges some other land banks are running into, like, no way, the only land bank that does not have access to the tax enclosure properties at this time, or I'm assuming. Right? And then, funding. As David mentioned earlier, the adopted New York State budget also calls for public authorities, to live stream their meetings, which is why someone set up on Zoom to live stream this meeting. It does not, the language, the policy does not call for participation through the live stream. It just observation. So this is a temporary solution we're utilizing today to be in compliance. We're looking into possible equipment or potential ballot locations for board meetings to be visited directly by the state. As Aaron mentioned earlier too, I do want to let the board know that we did contact IdeaCraft to design our website. We cannot live stream through the website, which we have anticipate that case. But they recommended just like what we're doing, kind of YouTube or Zoom, something like that. Live stream to that. Archive the video and then upload it to the website. And according to IdeaCraft, the adjustment to the public information page, which I anticipate all the meetings will be available on, will take them about 2 to 4 hours to do, and then their nonprofit rate is $135. Something we'll have to do to be in compliance, but it seems like that can be done fairly quickly, and the legislation and the policy calls for, to the greatest extent useful. So, we're within compliance. Let's try to get this on our website fairly quickly, and I think that could be picked up.
We'll keep this on a Rob is working on the suggestion. Rob will probably primarily take this over in a couple of weeks, but we are looking for better ways, just so it's a little more seamless and quality. So that could involve different technology, could move meeting to a place that's already designed and set up with that kind of equipment in place. So all those things are options. We'll talk about with more.
Up next is the financials. We have a few expenses under our operating grant. You notice in the sale of real property, we have $244,000 that have come in. That's our sale of Oakdale Road and 313 Marion Street. We have quite a bit of expenses under our rehabilitation projects. That's largely construction draw and some professional services. And then we did add project budget for 34 as we put that on.
Good. Thank you. Are there questions for Jess about her report on finances? As always, thorough job. Thank you, Jess. Okay. Now let's move on to community advisory panel, and public comments. Do we have anyone who should address the board?
Just like the resolutions tomorrow, like whether or not you do them. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, seeing none, close that portion of the meeting, and we'll move on to new business. I think we've got a relatively light but important agenda today. So first up, as the aforementioned, item number 6, the resolution awarding the contract to Clearview for 52 Beethoven Street. Jess, do you want to, or Rob, whoever, touch on that?
Yeah, so, we had 4 bidders on the project, and we included the bid tabulation sheet in the package. The, where all the contractors ended up. So Clearview Door and Window was the, lowest base bid, and their add-on was also the lowest, and that's for the total bid of $186,800. We are asking for, $200,000 just in case anything comes up. That would have to come back to the board for, minor changes, shades with a, it's good, that's basically the big demonstration. Relatively good shape. The cost of the project really is, the restoration of the historical. performance.
I'm excited about this. This is a neat property.
Yeah.
Well located. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's say Clearview is doing. Finishing up, Marion Street, that's one. Yep. Any questions for Jess about this item? All right, if not, an entertain a motion to award a contract to Clearview Door and Window for the general construction of 52 Dave Level 3. Chris, thank you. To a second. Wendy, thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. Number 7, resolution authorizing the amendment to the agreement with Broome County for the administration of ARPA funds. Support the county's, the Land Bank's countywide demolition program. I would point out that the county legislature approved last month, or excuse me, last week, an additional $200,000 of ARPA funds to the Land Bank for the purposes of addressing blight and other projects in Broome County. It's on top of the $300,000 that they were allocated and the $600,000 that they allocated to us associated with the Red Carpet project. So this is progress.
Yeah.
That's anything else on that?
no, I would just point, this is just an amendment to increase the amount, the contract date stays the same, there's no administrative fee for, administering the grant from the county. So,
And the county has slightly altered the language associated with the use. The original $300,000 was associated with demolition program. The language under the ARPA grant now for all of those funds has been expanded to allow for again addressing blight, significant county projects, that sort of thing. So it adds a little more flexibility with the Land Bank funds. Any questions on that? All right, then I'd entertain a motion to authorize an amendment to the agreement of Broome County for ARPA funds. We have a motion. Mike, thank you. Second. Rich, thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. You opposed? All right, resolution number 8. Resolution awarding the contract for real estate services to Exit Realty Homeward Bound. Jess or Rob, take it away.
so I trust that the board had a chance to read our memo. We received, 5, sets of qualifications, for our RFQ for the service. As the board may recall, last year, we entered into a 1-year agreement with Exit Realty, actually advice of the mayor, but we advised that we RFQ for it. The submissions that came in, they were all, fairly well put together. I would say the biggest thing that Exit Realty Homeward Bound, apart from the rest, is their enormous amount of experience in the area, and their experience with the Land Bank that set them apart. So we're happy to share these set of qualifications with any board members that want to see them. But as you see, we rank them in this order. Exit Realty Homeward Bound, Remax, MCM Realty, and DreamWorks. So technically speaking, we did score Century 21 Northeast, but they were missing the requirements.
Rob, feel good about maintaining our relationship with Exit Realty? Okay. Any questions? I will say, I wasn't part of the scoring on this. Rob just did this, but Bob and John Farrell did a great job for us so far. Especially, I mean, probably anybody, not everybody, that's what they were saying. Probably a lot of folks in town could help us acquire properties, but the complexity of selling our properties which have all sorts of criteria. It's been helpful to have people who know what they're doing, their experience with that. Any further discussion regarding this? If not, an entertain a motion to authorize the executive director, or excuse me, awarding a contract for real estate services to Exit Realty Homer Boundary motion. Thank you. Second, Chris, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Number 9, resolution authorizing the executive director into an agreement with Broome Community Charities for the use of 749 West Main Street in Endicott. Jess, do you want to go over there? And I can get in a couple of two possibly. You want to that one?
So the Dick's Sporting Goods open through, their nonprofit, Broome Community Charities, reached out to them in May, to see if they could utilize, existing parking lot at, the red carpet, for for the duration of the sporting goods open. And we expressed, yeah, but, you know, approval, but we think that you find so long and, parking, and they want to park there, because that's the base. So, definitely want to that.
Yep.
So our understanding is that it'll be volunteers, vendors, staff, things of
Staging.
staging of that nature.
How many questions for
Or members with many thanks for it.
We did make sure
that? We did make a chunk of that. That's interesting. Yeah. One thing that when I spoke to the director, executive director, one thing that I wanted to make clear is that that we don't want to get the situation where it's hard to do that. But number 2, that out there, the lot is not exactly, it's not a fun. I mean, it's sort of been somewhat tough shape in certain parts.
And
So
like now. It's like,
well, it needs to be people that that can handle that sort of situation, right? It's not an ideal parking lot, let's just say. So we reassured that would be the case. They would have staff or vendors, like people who are staging different things for it. So no charging for parking. Additionally, the contract includes requirement that so no public parking, that they would add us to their insurance, which they did, because God forbid something happened. Number 3 is that the lot will be secured by police on the day of the concert, just to ensure that we don't have.
I think it said all the night is right.
Security is mandated on Friday, but not on the other days. Now they will make sure that, I mean, they're not going to put a police officer every day out there for 5 or 6 days, but they will be checking to make sure that people are parked there.
And that's where, here being a form of at least one uniformed police officer during the hours of operation. We need something scheduled concert.
So they know what the criteria are for parking in general, and of course they know what aspect to make 2 weeks. The big thing I think from our perspective is liability associated with it, part of it. So I feel comfortable with this, the way it's set up. Who knows what the future holds there, but for this year where it's going to be cleared out, there's a parking lot in some form or fashion there. I think also that there are parts of that area too where it would make sense to park. Right? But certainly areas where the parking lot is, I feel okay for parking. So we want to be good partners with them.
Is there an attendant?
And there will not be, my understanding is there will not be an attendant there full time throughout the week. The main focus, they will be checking on a periodic basis. But the only attendant, really, I guess I can say it that way, will be a uniformed police officer on. So,
We've asked, them to add. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I think it makes sense to be a partner with them. Right. Any questions on this?
They're not charged. We're not charged.
Right. I think part of it too was that maybe there was a thought, not by them, but even in back of my mind, that they'd be trying to make this exclusive parking or something. I'm not sure I park my exclusive parkers in this location. It's not like it's not it. Yeah.
There's that parking lot, but that.
This is location as opposed to quality.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wouldn't park my dignitaries there. Let's put it that way. Okay, Mayor, thank you. We have a second. Thank you. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that carries. All right. I think we need a brief executive session. Before we pause that, Rob, do we have, this is an executive session, discuss the acquisition and or disposition of real property. We have a motion to go into executive session. I'll make it. Chris, thank you. Second. Mike, thank you. All in favor of going to executive session? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Okay, we're out of executive session. Thank you all for your patience. I think we've completed the aforementioned new business. Do we have any any other motions that we need to consider? Chris.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the executive director or the designee to spend an amount not to exceed $15,000. The purpose of making an earnest money deposit.
Thank you. Do we have a second on that motion? Thank you. Any discussion about that motion? If not, all in favor of authorizing the executive director or designee to expend up to $15,000 for the purpose of the earnest money deposit for the purchase of real property in Broome County. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. 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 Any opposed? That carries. Thank you. All right. Other business. Is there any other old business that we need to consider? Okay. Rob, when is our next meeting?
It is June 25th.
June 25th. And there's a fair chance that our executive director will not be present. Anything still happen?
I just want to say thank you all for all your support over the course. Very, very exciting. Send you different pictures so you guys can go on. You know how patient I'm ready.
We wish you well. And just for everybody's knowledge, we anticipate Jess returning to us after a brief hiatus in early September. That's the plan. Wonderful. So we wish you well. Congratulations. That's okay. Any other items to come before the board? If not, an entertaining motion to adjourn. Mayor, thank you. To second. Mike, thank you. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned.